Were their laws similar to Jim Crow in other countries? Have you ever wondered if the racial segregation laws in the United States had counterparts in other parts of the world? The answer is yes, and it is quite fascinating to look at how these laws manifested in different countries. Jim Crow laws were state and local statutes that enforced racial segregation and discrimination in the United States, particularly in the South, after the Civil War. These laws created a system that separated races in public spaces, schools, housing, and voting, putting Black Americans at a disadvantage. Interestingly, other countries have had their own versions of laws that enforced racial segregation and discrimination. For instance, in Britain during the 19th and 20th centuries, there were practices that resembled Jim Crow laws. The Cunard shipping line had racial policies in the 1840s that reflected segregationist attitudes. Additionally, during World War II, U.S. military units that were segregated were stationed in Britain, and British authorities sometimes accommodated these segregationist views. Nazi Germany also had racial laws that were influenced by American policies, including Jim Crow laws. The Nuremberg laws, which stripped Jews of their rights, were partly inspired by the racial discrimination laws in the United States. German officials studied these American laws as they created their own legal framework for racial discrimination. Apartheid in South Africa is another notable example. This system of racial segregation and discrimination was formalized into law from 1948 until the early 1990s. Apartheid laws dictated where Black South Africans could live, work, and travel, similar to the restrictions imposed by Jim Crow laws on African Americans. From a libertarian viewpoint, these laws representing a serious violation of individual liberty and property rights. They enforced government-mandated racial discrimination and limited freedom of movement and association. Libertarianism fundamentally opposes such segregation because it goes against the principles of voluntary interactions and equal treatment under the law. While Jim Crow laws were specific to the United States, similar racially discriminatory laws existed in other countries, including Britain's segregationist practices, Nazi Germany's racial laws, and apartheid in South Africa. These examples show a broader pattern of government-enforced racial discrimination, which libertarianism critiques as an abuse of state power.